Hello everyone. Um, Today I want to write a babashka script which does something which I've seen in a lot of Clojure code bases. So this is an issue on the Metabase repository, and what's happening here is that this is a large code base, right? The Metabase is a large Clojure code base, and what ends up happening is that uh, developers don't use the same convention for the namespaced aliases. So what happens is that you can see here that the util namespace has been aliased as qp.util and qp-util at different places. So CLJ Condo actually has a way to kind of lint these, like specify the aliases which you want to be to be the correct ones, and then you can lint the other ones. But the problem is you still need to mention these, right? So if I actually open up the Metabase project and do a clock on it, so we can see that there are like 150,000 closure lines, right? And how many files there are, like 1,000 closure files in there. So it's just not possible to kind of go and check these every single time, right? This is definitely an iterative change, but now I want to write a script which automates this. So what we will do is basically take the source directory as an input, and then we'll try to go into every single file and see which of the namespaces have been which have these unique mismatched aliases, right? Like, so if there's only one of the aliases present, then we won't print it. But if the same namespace has multiple aliases, we'll start printing those. Okay, so let's start writing. I've already done a little bit of research. I think rewrite-clj is the way to go here. And also babashka, so that it's fast to start. So let's start, right? So I already have the Metabase repository cloned here. What I will do is I will write a list. I'll create a babashka file here. So list mismatched aliases.alias, something like this. And let's try to see if we can get this running. So let me go in here, and I already have babashka installed, so I can pretty much just do this and it should work. Awesome. um, let's also start a babashka nrepl. Okay, it's nrepl server. Awesome. um, and let's connect to this server from here. So cider connect clj localhost and 1111. Sweet. So we are in the REPL. Let's try to evaluate something and see if it works. Yep. So we've got babashka up and running, and babashka already provides us with some namespaces. So rewrite clj is already present. Yes, it is present. So let's see how we will go about reading a source file. Okay, so now what I want to do is basically let's use the namespace in this issue here, which is metabase.queryProcessor.util. So let's open that. Um, let's actually find where this is being used. So something like metabase.query and then is qp-util. Okay, so it's being used in this file. Let's copy this path and let's try to slop this inside and see if it works. So it's going to be source. Okay, so we've got this file, and let's kind of pass this file to rewrite clj so that it can create a zipper out of it. So let's do that. Let's see what the doc says on rewrite. Let's go down. Okay, so we need a zipper. So rewrite clj.zip, and we can do a z/off string, but is there a z/off something else? I think there was, yep. So we've got a z/off file. I think we can directly do that. So let's do that. Hmm. Okay, could not resolve symbol. Let's add the symbol. So rewrite clj.zip as the. Let's evaluate. Okay, perfect. Um, so we've got this, and let's call this a zipper, or let's call this the root. And now that we have a the root, right? I already have some videos on using the zipper properly. What we basically now want to do is let's just try to go down once and just print the s expression. Let's see, which is fine. Let's go one more down and we get a nil. So let's go right. Let's see what we get. Okay, now, okay. So let's do one thing. Let's try to find let's try to find a require. So we basically want to find this require. We want to find this form. So let's do a z find. What was it? Z dash. Okay, so it says z find value. I think this is what we need. We provided the root and a z next and a symbol. Okay, so if I do something like z find value, I'm already passing in the root, so I need z slash next, and then I need the symbol require. So let's do this, and again z. Let's print this out. Let's try. Okay, so we are getting the require. Let's go down. Okay, and let's go right. Okay, so we are getting these requires, so let's keep going right. Okay, that's awesome. So we just got async a and we got log. So we basically want to parse all of these requires out now. Once we parse these out, right, then we can kind of do some data manipulation on these. But let's try to do this for all of these, right? Let's parse all of these out. So to do that, there is a function I remember. And now that we have the require form, let's try to print. Let's print. Okay, this works. Um, Now if I just do a rest, I'm basically getting all of this data out. Okay, I think that's it. I think we're pretty much done there. Um, let's try to see if we can map around this data or something. So let's kind of give this a name called as all requires. Okay, so this is a psi variable. It's not a node, I think. Can we do, is there a Z node? Does this work? Okay, no, we don't want a node actually. Okay, let's try to see if we can call first on all requires. Okay, this works. Can we call second? Okay, and let's also see what's the type. Okay, it's a vector. Okay, so we are getting this data out. So now what do we really want to do, right? Okay, so let's now, instead of a vector, let's kind of convert this to a map. Okay, let's convert this to a map first. To do that, I think, can I use into? Okay, I can't use into because there is like refer as, and maybe there is as alias, or maybe there's refer and as both, right? So into won't work here. Let's, or maybe it does, I'm not sure. Maybe a simpler way to go about doing this. Okay, so maybe let's just work with a single one. So if I want, so let, okay, so I have the first require, which is basically this one, clojure.co.async as a, and let's call first of rec, and let's print as ns. Okay, so we've got the namespace, And let's say now we want to get the alias, right? Um, for the alias, so let's create our own namespace here. So let's say core.async as a, but also refer wow out of it. Um, if I run this, I'm getting the namespace, uh, but I also want the alias and maybe the refer as well. Um, and maybe as alias as well, right? This is the new feature. So let's also make sure we are accounting for that. So as alias, you see, okay. Um, okay, so to get the alias first, refer and as alias. Okay. Um, okay, so this looks like it's a multi-partition pairs. Basically, these will always follow this order, the pair tuple order, but both of these can move around. So I think if we partition this out, hmm. Okay, let's do this. So um let's basically call parts and let's do a partition. Let's do 2 and let's partition the rest of the request. Let's see what we get inside parts. Okay, so parts are basic. Okay, so we are getting as a, we are getting the refer and as alias. Okay, so I think once we have this, we can just use into to get this data. So let's try to basically just do that. Merge. Let's get rid of this, and let's do into, and let's do parts. Okay, something's wrong. Um, okay, so it looks like into doesn't work on lists. I thought it did, but it works on vectors. So let's try to do that now. Perfect. So now we have got the namespace, we've got the alias, the refers and as alias. So we've kind of separated all of these out. Let's name this function something like, so let's call it like require to map. I think that is decent enough. And let's call this require. Or maybe just let's call it check. We don't need this anymore. Perfect. But will this also work? Let's see. Let's call require map and let's give it something like, let's just give it a namespace. Okay, that works. Let's only give an alias. Okay, that also works. Let's only give it some refer and that also works. Perfect. So we give it a require map. We've got require map, we've got all requires. So now we basically just want another function which does all requires to map, which is something like for rec in all requires, and let's also call this as a function instead. So let's pass it a z root, or rather let's just pass it a file, and then we can kind of create the z root inside. Okay. So all requires to map would be, so let's basically evaluate everything out and bam. So we've got a list of maps. Now what we want to do is, so now what I want to do is basically do this for multiple files and then concatenate all of these maps. So let's do that as well. So in the namespace one which we found was qp.util. So what was it here? Let's try again. So we found qp.util. Let's find another namespace which has qp.util. So let's do qp. slash dot util. Okay, so the namespace is metabase.api.tiles. So now let's do this source metabase api slash tiles.clj. Okay, so now we are getting qp.util. Awesome. So we've got these two files here, and now what I want to basically do is that uh, so I have this data and I have this list. So let's concatenate both of them. Um, so basically just concat. Okay, so now we have these aliases, right? And so we've got this qp-util here and qp-util here, and we have the same namespace. So let's group this data by the namespace. I think that should work. So let's basically call this all, and let's call group by namespace and requires data. I think this should work. Okay, so where is, okay, so we've got query processor.util and we've got two entries in here. So we've got a qp-util and a okay. The problem here is that we are getting qp twice, which is fine for now. I guess it's fine for now. We will have to dedupe that though. We'll have to remove the duplicates. So now my next step will basically be to print all of those namespaces out which have non-unique aliases. So let's do that. Basically let's do a for, and let's do a key value. So the key is basically the namespace and value is, so let's call it require map. So let's call it require list, sorry, and let's push this in here. And now what I want to do is I want to see if a value has unique aliases. So let's do something like unique aliases would probably be map. Let's get all of the aliases out first. So let's do map as to the request list. And once we have all of these aliases, right, I think we can just call set on this to get a unique one. So let's also call set. Let's see if this works. Oh, perfect. So the QP, the multiple QPs got reduced. So we just have a single QP and then we have these sets here. So now I can do that when count of unique aliases more than one. So when we get more than one of these, so when we get more than one of these, only then we want the unique aliases, right? And let's actually do an NS and a unique alias. Let's return a pair. Perfect, 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 perfect. Let's also kind of remove these nils. Okay, so we've got metabase.queryprocessor.util qp-util. Okay, perfect. Now we can basically just print this, right? Let's put this into a function which is find mismatched aliases, I think. And what I want to do here is that, so let's pass this requires data basically. Let's also change this into a function so that it can accept variable number of files. So let's call like files in here, and instead of doing a concat, we can basically do something like mapcat and call all requires map on those. So and then we can group these by. Perfect. So I think this should work. Let's try this out if it does. Perfect. Perfect. That works. Um, so now that I have this done for two files, now I just want to do it for the entire source directory. So let's write another function which is find files recursively, which I've written a multiple of times. So this is directory. What I want to use is tree-seq. So tree-seq takes a function to check if it's a branch. So given the first file, the branch would be that if it's a directory, then we go inside. So yep, so this should work. And so second is children, right? So children would be dot list files, I think. And root would be directory, I guess. So I think this should be it. Find files recursively. Let's try it out. Find files recursively. Let's give it source slash metabase slash API. No matching method is directory found. Okay, let's maybe do io slash file. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Maybe I can just do io slash file in here. Perfect, so that works. So now I can call, so now I have all of these files, and now that I have these files, I'm going to call requires data on them, and then I'm going to pass it to find mismatched aliases. So I've kept requires data separate here because we can use it in the future for something else. Uh, Instead of kind of calling requires data function directly inside of find mismatched aliases. And okay, so there's a linting error here. Forgot this. Okay, so let's save this and let's evaluate everything. Okay, it says file not found, exception is a directory. What am I missing here? Okay, so this might actually return directories. So let's kind of remove the directories. So let's remove anything which is a directory. Bam. So this works. Okay. So now we are getting a list of all the namespaces which have unique unique utils. Um, okay, T dot models. Why are these nils in there? That's weird. Models dot metric. Let's check this out. What's wrong? What's wrong with these nils? Okay, so this is, I think, why requires data is helpful, because now I can just do something like this. So I can do source slash metabase slash metric.clj. Let's see. Actually, let's just open this file, models metric.clj. Why is it nil, 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 nil? Okay, so when there is just a refer and there is no as, it comes out as nil, which is fine, I guess, for now, but we can probably fix this as well. So the way to fix this would be to basically remove nils again in here. Let's see if this works. Okay, so we no longer have nils, but now we don't have a set. Okay, so let's actually get rid of this and let's remove the nils beforehand. Okay, perfect. So we've removed the nils and we've got the sets. Perfect. Let's actually try to run this on the entire source folder maybe. Let's see how many variables we get. Let's also do, let's store this somewhere. So let's call this, oh no, so we've got an error which is invalid symbol. So let's kind of print ln file and let's print this. Let's go back here and let's go to the REPL. Okay, so it's trying to parse a MD file. We don't want to do that. Okay, so let's try to filter find files recursively. Let's add a filter in here. So we've removed all the is directory files. Maybe we can also remove maybe we can also remove all the files which don't match regex. So let's filter it out. Maybe instead of removing, so let's filter out anything which, so let's do refined, and I probably want .clj ending with .clj. Let's see if this works. Okay, that returns true, but what if I didn't have a dot here? Okay, so I need to escape the dot. Nil, perfect. Yes, this works, but this shouldn't and this shouldn't. Perfect. So I basically just need this as the filter. Okay, so now I've got this filter, and let's try to run this on source. Java cannot be cast to character sequence. Okay, so we're getting another error. Okay, I think the issue could be because of this. So let's try it again. Perfect. Okay, not perfect, but don't know how to create I sequence from symbol. Okay, so it errored out in date2.clj file. Let's find this. Util date2. Don't know how to create a sequence from symbol. That's weird. That's weird. Okay, so I added this print ln here to find out where this request is kind of failing. And after doing this, it turns out there can be some aliases which don't have which are not wrapped in a vector. So let's add a fix for those, basically something like this. Let's add a fix for those somewhere in here. I think it's kind of failing at this parts because it's trying to run this rest. Let's try for vector. Would that work? Okay, that does work. Um, let's try the source folder now. Let's see if that does. Because it's taking a while, it's not super fast. But yeah, it works. I think that's it, folks. So this script can now basically do this thing, but what we want to do is run it as a babashka script. So let's also do that. Let's open up the babashka page book and let's search for args. Okay, so remaining arguments are bound to command line args. Okay, so let's basically just print this, and instead of source, let's take first of command line args. So it basically gives a directory. Okay, let's save this. Let's go back to our metabase and let's do bin list mismatched aliases and run source. Okay, let's bb and source. Okay, I am printing way too much. Let's remove the prints and let's try again. Okay, okay. Let's print it in a better way. Let's say def final and for ns duplicates. Or let's do a do seek here instead since we're printing it out. So let's do println. Okay, let's try this again. Sweet. Let's improve this. Let's format it a little bit. Awesome. So now we basically are getting this data printed on the terminal. I think in the next video we can probably try to output CLJ condo compatible, or maybe we can even read the existing CLJ condo config file and then update it in place. We can ask the user input, they can select one, two, like do we want t.course, and then it can just add these automatically to the condo configuration. Um, that's it, I guess. Thanks. Maybe I can post this data out onto the metabase issue. Thanks for watching. If you liked watching this, please leave some feedback below on how I can improve, or if something else made this boring or interesting. Um, Leave a like and subscribe to keep me motivated to create more videos. Thank you.